You're listening to The Front Porch Show. Some shows are niche shows, talking about specific topics. Others, shows about nothing. This show is the show about everything. On The Front Porch Show, we'll talk about current events, some news, a little bit of politics, along with a whole lot of life. Welcome to our Front Porch. 1-402-799-1811. That is the message line number. Strangely enough, everyone is here today. We've got Ozzy sitting over to the right, Jeff to the left, and right in front of me, we have a presumptive positive, Tombstone.
Even though he's the biggest negative on the show.
Ow.
Oh. I have missed you, Tombstone. I have missed you.
I missed you too, Jeff. I need an ally against all this craziness.
Yes, you understand.
Jeff and I are like the odd couple.
Yeah.
The bastion of sanity.
The bastion of sanity in a wilderness of crazy.
Probably.
Aaron.
Oh, okay.
I'm not disagreeing. I have no qualms with any of that.
And Ben is just like, me? Yes, Ben, you. Crazy Ben.
I know
Crazy
what you're
Oz.
talking about.
So are we gonna get flippant funny Oz today, or are we gonna get serious Oz? That's my question.
We'll see. Both are scary. We'll see. It's true.
Both are scary, but
serious Oz usually trolls.
Here's the thing: when Ben wears the clown nose sometimes, but he keeps a razor in his pocket. It's terrifying.
Ooh, wow.
Ben basically is the character from the Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
I was going to say, is Ozzy the Joker?
I'll never tell. I'll never tell, he says.
Okay. All right. On that happy note, welcome to the yet another coronavirus edition of the Front Porch Show. We're going to try not to belabor the coronavirus too much today, although it honestly cannot be helped. No.
Is it legal for this many people to be in one chat room together?
Yeah,
do we know?
I think it's 10 or less, right? I think we're fine.
Some places it's just of the same household, so.
I mean, technically, you've got a point. I mean, in Nebraska, we are now down to, if you have 2 symptoms, you're now supposed to be quarantined, which Tombstone has 2 of the symptoms. So
I do. But I don't think I'm going to be allowed to go back to work for 2 weeks. I'm really bummed about it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Probably not, yeah.
I mean, I'll be working from home, which I hate. So if my boss hears this, just please make a note.
Why do you hate working from home?
I just focus a lot better when I'm sitting at my desk in the office, and I have a really nice office. I like sitting in it. I like working in it.
Comes out.
It's great.
Tombstone's corner office.
This is like that thing we were talking about last week, where it's okay. Are they going to keep people who can work home and just let them work at home from whenever we go back to normal again?
The new economy.
I think most people who can work from home are already.
Well, I think correct, and I think you're a prime example, Tombstone, of exactly why people aren't going to be as productive, because there's a whole thing of being able to get out of the house and going to somewhere where you exclusively do a certain thing. It's the same thing with school, with going to college or staying home from college. There's those that can do college online who are really good at it, like my sister, but I had to physically go to a classroom.
Yes,
because my attention span is just not there to be able to discipline myself.
Yeah, it's something about the ritual. And to Jeff's point about having a corner office, my entire floor is one giant corner office. It has open windows on all sides of the floor, and the floor is an open floor plan. So I don't have walls. Like, I'm not in my own separate office.
Like a turret?
Can I just
a castle?
No, but it's like a big open floor office with windows all around the front, all around the side of the building. It's fantastic.
Are we going to rush
downtown Greenville?
Are we going to rush by the fact that Aslan claimed his attention span required him to be in a classroom, but as direct witnesses, all of us realize that even being in a classroom, his attention span was basically 0 in college? Are we just going to rush past that?
Basically,
Ben, what was your GPA? What was your GPA?
Dude, it was horrible. I think it was
I'm ready.
2.7.
I have you beat, but not by much. Mine was 2.6.
I think it was 2.7.
So Ben and
I'm not going to talk about this.
Ben and I both
now my
GPA,
my GPA for my major was a 3.6, I think.
Which was what, watercolors?
Yeah,
was that
basically. I was killing it though.
Yeah, Ben and I both should have gone to trade school.
I'm kidding, folks. Oswald was in graphic design, and he's pretty darn good at it.
Ozzy's excellent at it.
I wish I was good at something besides running my mouth on this show.
But look, Tombstone, you're a pro, so
Yeah, look at what
I
this has
appreciate
gotten
that.
you. This has gotten
Yeah.
you
Now, if only
nothing. Okay.
fame, well, no. Fortune? Oh, again, no.
fame.
3 hours to kill on every Saturday morning. Oh, yeah, you got me there. We're good on that one.
yes.
So,
Is it every Saturday morning though?
not every,
Oh!
you got me, Ben. You got me.
Tombstone, you dropped some truth bomb this morning when you said Fitbit is giving us intelligence. And
Yes.
it might be better intelligence than what we get from, the National Security Agency, the CIA.
Wait, this is
CIA
what we're
has
opening with?
nothing.
We're opening with our best
just
story?
roll with it. Just roll with it. No,
All
it's
right.
not our best story.
This is
The
not our best story of the day,
The
Jeff.
best story, yeah.
I need more information
I
about
think
this.
the best thing I see on the Trello is 10 movies if you liked Saving Private Ryan. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That was a fantastic article. I enjoyed that.
Can we just spend the entire show talking about that and skip the coronavirus? That might actually entertain our audience more.
Speaking of which, 1914 just came, or 1917 just came out.
He doesn't even know the date.
We're going to go back to the beginning of the war.
At least
Okay,
that was
Ben,
in the range.
Hold that thought. We'll circle back to 1917.
But tell me
I
about
didn't see it
these
yet. I'm just saying it came out.
secret Antarctic bases.
So
Yeah, I'm
I don't
so
know
interested
where
in
this
this.
video actually originated from, but I follow a bunch of very interesting, by which I mean slightly crazy people on Twitter. And one of them
And they
posted this
follow
video.
you, which that
What's
yeah,
that?
never
Some
mind.
of them do, yes. I don't have an excuse for that.
No,
I'm not even
no,
going to try.
No, don't.
Anyways, he posted this video of looking at the Fitbit data, and I assume it's the Fitbit data that was released last year. So this may not actually be new news, but it's the first I've seen of it.
I thought we
So
talked
you
about
guys
this.
remember last year, basically a bunch of people were using Fitbit, which of course is a GPS fitness device and tracks your speed and your distance and all this stuff. But it put it in a place where the data was not personally identifiable, but it was in a repository where you could access it and map it. So apparently somebody, presumably in the military or working for some sort of agency with letters, was at a base at Antarctica with their Fitbit turned on, and in the absolute middle of nowhere, in a place so in the middle of nowhere that if you look at it on Google Maps, there's not actually anything there, presumably because the photos have been altered by Google Maps at government request. There is a set of Fitbit tracks going around a loop that looks suspiciously like a set of roads at a military base. So,
Now,
Is this in Antarctica?
Yes.
Okay,
Now-
because
now-
I found
there's
an
a
article.
guy that
from-
actually,
You found-
I think
All
there
right,
are
you guys-
actual satellite
it-
photos of the area.
There
Because
are,
did
but
you
they
see
don't
a
really
couple
show much.
comments
Aaron-
below that tweet?
Aaron's
There's
looking
some
at the
pictures,
Strava
some
one.
actual pictures.
Yeah, so that's the one I found, Ozzy. I found the one of the Helmand province in Afghanistan with a secret base where it's literally tracking all the joggers around the
Yeah,
secret base.
I remember seeing that one. I saw that one last year.
Yeah,
Guys,
that was 2 years ago. Yeah.
OPSEC. Operational security. My goodness, this is ridiculous.
Well, when the 82nd deployed to Baghdad last month. By the way, you realize it was only a month and a half ago that the Iranians launched rockets at our bases in Iraq?
Was it really? It seems like a lifetime ago.
I'm pretty sure it was 6 or 7 weeks. I know it seems like it was 3 years ago. That's how fast the great weirding is moving us along here in the year of our Lord 2020. But yes, when the 82nd deployed, they were told they had to leave their phones behind for exactly that reason, and Tinder. So, because Joe loves Tinder.
I mean, it makes sense.
Because there's just too many ways that it can go wrong with a privately owned cell device. Anyways, maybe we can post that. Aaron, can you post that for our dear audience on Monday?
I'm
so they can
working
see
on
it?
finding the map here. I have the map. That is a... No, I don't want to sign in. This is very interesting. where this is.
Oh, there's all kinds of interesting stuff.
It looks rather large, though. Is it large?
It does look large.
But I mean, there's nothing. I can't reference it because there's no.
Well, you just got to compare it to the snowflakes.
Yeah, you got to look at the snowflakes. The government serialized snowflakes.
I mean, it's just white on the map, though.
All right. Did you guys see?
Were you expecting something else?
Exactly.
An underground base in Antarctica?
Were you expecting Google to just put up a Google Maps of the Antarctic base, the secret Antarctic
base? It
almost
almost looks like a runway. It almost looks like a runway.
It probably is.
You're looking at the pictures, right? You're looking at the pictures of it. That looks like a runway.
It looks
a couple
like,
comments below on the Twitter feed.
It looks like there's a base of some sort.
So
there's
that
some weird random little tracks, and then there's
the one Fitbit track that's kind of a bow shape
and a runway.
Jeff, you see how the Fitbit track is kind of a bow shape?
Yeah,
that looks like a runway and an on and off ramp to me.
Well, but I don't understand. Let me look at the picture again here.
Here, I'm sharing my screen with you, Jeff.
Oh. Ooh, I love Strava. Strava is a great app, by the way. Just saying.
Is it? I've never used it. I don't like being tracked. So what I'm saying is that this looks like a runway right here, this long straightaway.
I mean, it's just a long straightaway. It could be anything.
Right, it could be, but why would you have a long straightaway in Antarctica?
Do you know what this is? I figured it out. This isn't the Formula One track. That's what it is.
I mean, it could be like some sort of. Well, you wouldn't really need a secure fence
Antarctic circuit.
Yeah,
nice. I love it. It's like the secret map when you unlock it in Forza or something. Forza's not
F1.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We're keeping out the Russians, Jeff. It's a security perimeter.
Again, because I'm not sure it's getting through here. Have you looked at the photos the actual like aerial photos?
Yeah,
no, aerial photos.
There are a couple comments below on Twitter.
Do it. Click.
They don't really show much though, do they, Jeff?
Not a lot. I mean, he's got some notes on it basically that indicate you can see the hard packed straight area. So I don't know what relation to north the photos are versus the screen that Mathis just showed me. But there is the long, straight, kind of compacted area that could potentially be. I mean, basically, you don't need much if you got an airplane on skis. So it doesn't really need to be a runway. But there could be.
Can you put skis on a C-130?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
I would like to
The claim of these photos is pretty funny. So he claims that this is a airfield and dump section, and then they claim that you can see this ridge in the snow and that's a service line going up to the facility. And the next picture claims and there's something there because it's leaving shadows in the sun in the picture, and you can also see the way that the snow has drifted behind the items that are left there as the wind blows. And you can see the shadows from them. The claim is that is like a dumping ground that's picked up by the plane. So these pictures do legitimately look like a place where a plane comes in and out and stuff is stored next to the strip. But
interesting.
And it may not. I mean, it could not be a base, but I mean, it could just be somewhere where someone had 2 hours to kill and took a walk with their Fitbit.
Yeah, but that looks like a long walk, man. Because the way the Fitbit works, if I understand it correctly,
when you're in the CIA, when you're in the field agent,
but those
killing commies, you got to be in shape.
Those lines there are repetitive walking lines.
Ooh, I found a video of a C-130 taking off on the snow with skis and
rockets.
Rockets.
Send that to the group chat, please. I got to see that.
Get it.
So can I take a wild tack here real quick?
Of course.
Sometime this year, and it might be delayed. It might be delayed because of all the coronavirus nonsense, but Microsoft is working on releasing a new flight simulator. And it looks like it's going to be amazing. Jeff, you may be interested in it. I don't know if you have any interest in hobby simulators now, but it's supposed to be the best one ever made ever.
My trouble with playing flight simulators is having to change screens and if I had some sort of setup with either a curved 180 degree screen, or if I had some sort of VR headset that when I turned my head, the vision turned.
Yeah, well, you can use Track IR. Track IR is cheap,
but that's like move your head just a little bit and it moves all around the screen, right?
Yeah, but it's supposed to be pretty intuitive once you get used to it.
So maybe I've always wanted to play a combat flight simulator with a VR headset, so you can actually turn and look at your target while you're flying and stuff,
Listen,
I think that'd be a blast.
The last time I played a combat simulator, the pilot was like flying upside down.
Yes, Ozzy and I went to Udvar Hazy, the museum, the National Air and Space out by Dulles.
Yeah,
and we did the little sim that two people can fly in, and I rolled us upside
awesome.
down.
I remember seeing that when I was out there. I didn't get it, but I remember seeing
it.
And then all the people that were like outside of it, hearing us scream like little girls the whole time. It was like like
the physics were not quite right on what the vectors did to the aircraft, but
it was great.
But it was a blast to roll upside down.
I don't think we killed any of the enemies either.
Nope.
Good times.
But we screamed and flew upside down and fired.
And then we came out, and there were like all these people that were looking at us like someone had just killed somebody else inside of the flight simulator, and we're wondering what happened. So,
and we can't tell you if that was true or not.
But little Billy has never come back. We never saw him again.
Oh my goodness.
Oh boy.
Y'all are dark.
So I play Battle of Stalingrad IL-2, which is a World War II. It's a World War II flight sim that started out on the Eastern Front, and then they just released the Western Front European theater. Nice. And it's actually a ton of fun. I have spent far more hours than I'm comfortable admitting playing it, and it's a lot of fun. I mostly don't even do dogfighting. I do ground attack. So
I can't, I don't have a computer that'll run that stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna need to get you a computer at some point, Jeff.
Because I tried. I have World of Warships, like Blitz, like the little iPad game. I play that occasionally. I looked at getting World of Warships or World of Tanks for on Steam.
Yeah,
and I don't even come close to being able to run something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty resource intense, even for something like that.
Dude.
And they keep upgrading it because computers, I mean, World of Tanks has been out on console for like 5 years. It's been on PC longer than that. So they keep upping the abilities. So anyways, Aaron, you want to take us out when we get back? We can talk about something entertaining that's not coronavirus, and then do something else. I don't know.
If you want to be entertained, check out jet assist takeoffs for military airplanes.
JATOs.
That is not disappointing, let me tell you.
But the most important question is the coronavirus in that base in Antarctica?
It probably came from that base.
Is it Chinese?
Don't be racist, Ozzy.
We'll probably sit around and cook some soups and eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
We eat ribs and whatnot and listen to salsa music. You see where I'm coming from?
Free ponies for all Americans, one of the overlooked issues in America today.
So, if you've been living under a rock, I guess it's the only way that you haven't heard about the information or news about the coronavirus. We are going to take a different approach today, as opposed to every other show, news organization. We are not going to monopolize the entire show with talk of this plague. Pandemic? What do you want to call it, guys? I don't know. Virus thing.
And part of the reason is because we've already talked it absolutely to death in our private chat all week long.
Exactly. Yes. And frankly, we don't want to get into extensive fights over this.
We think that we suspect, like you, like us, your interest in the topic has been exhausted in the living of it. Yep. So we're going to spend time on other things.
So 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We are going to spend 5 minutes to get each person's current views on the topic, but 5 minutes total. So basically 1 minute per person, folks. 1 minute per person at most. And we are going to start now with Tombstone. What are your thoughts?
Way to put me on the spot.
I know.
I think that the stimulus package is anemic, but I think it is a good attempt at compensating people who are basically forced to stay home and or lose their jobs by the government. So I don't think it's a bad idea or an unfair idea, but I think it's a terrible execution. But I also feel like we don't have a lot of choices. So I'm also disturbed that nobody really knows what's going on. None of the numbers are reliable. The biggest problem here, I think we should blame the Chinese, because the Chinese lied about everything from day one, and it's because of them that they made it impossible to forecast what this was going to do, because they hid the information to cover their own butts. On the second note, we really need to consider. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. We need to consider consequences for people like Wilhelm de Blasio, who encouraged people to go out while this was coming up on us.
Okay, awesome. Jeff, your thoughts?
Well, from the beginning, it has caught my attention because you have taken it more seriously, and that caught my attention even from early January or whenever it was that you were starting to talk about it in February over in China. So that it's caught my attention for that reason. As the numbers have come out, though, we've seen that some of the data that the government is making these massive, impactful decisions based on is actually very faulty data, and it was faulty toward the end of the world, the sky is falling kind of region. So I think it's very serious. I think we need to take measures to be smart. I'm taking measures, staying away from my different jobs require me to go out into the community. So I'm potentially exposed to it. So I am trying to distance myself from anyone then that might be potentially compromised. So I'm practicing some self-quarantine on my own. However, I think some of the regulations we're getting out of this and things in the stimulus package are going to have a very far-reaching effect on our country and the health of people. Mm-hmm. And so my bottom line is question the worldviews and the underlying assumptions that are being put behind these governmental actions that are taking place.
Ozzy, your thoughts?
But the virus is serious. Do you take it seriously?
Okay, cool.
I'm kind of the same mindset as Jeff. Take it serious, but again, you got to be careful about the data. I think the media has way overblown all of this. They have some good points on staying on top of it, but every single thing we're seeing is some horrible crisis, some child that died, some, you know what I mean? Like, all of these things that are happening are always the worst thing that you can find because you need the best ratings and the most amount of ratings. So don't forget, media is a lot about making money, and how do you do that? You get the best story that you can. But again, take it with a grain of salt, but be cautious. But I think it's still way overblown.
I don't disagree necessarily with all of you. I'm on the, I can't say I'm on the skeptical side. I think it's not good because I've been watching the numbers and the graphs and everything, the actual numbers and the graphs. But the question is, how bad is it now?
The question is, can we cut New York off and shove it into the ocean? That's the question.
Absolutely. Please do.
I mean, we can all dream, right?
Yeah, I mean, New York is like, what, 35% of all cases?
I believe so, yeah.
They're bad.
Yeah,
so there is a lot of perfidy here, and there's some from the president as well. But as recently as March 10th, de Blasio was telling people to go out and party instead of stay home and be careful. And that's inexcusable to me.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of recklessness. And I'm going to blame both sides, if you will, for that. Because up until, early March, the president was saying the same thing, that it wasn't a big deal, that it wasn't anything. I mean, Sean Hannity said it was a hoax.
Okay.
We do not, on the Front Porch Show, we do not stand Sean Hannity.
No. Sean Hannity is
that's my first time ever saying that.
I'm just saying. But... Well, I threw down against him last week, so
yes. The question is, you said like the president was saying it's not a big deal. Was he downplaying a serious thing, or was he trying to provide a positive message of hope?
I don't know. $1 million question. We'll find out. We'll find out in 20 years when the history books are written.
Yep. And that's all we're going to say about the virus. We will not mention coronavirus again.
History is written by the victors.
The virus is going to win. It's not funny.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
The essence of the American character is to explore new horizons and to tame new frontiers. We must have American dominance in space. Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the 6th branch of the armed forces.
Wait for it. Ah, yeah.
We need to boost that bass on that.
That drop isn't really that big of a drop.
No, it's not that big of a drop. That's what I'm saying. We need to go in and doctor that.
Okay.
Aaron, can you do that with your audio magic?
Yes.
All right.
Of course I can.
We need to
Mathis is wait for it, and I'd have missed it if he didn't say wait.
Well, it sounds better when you're hearing it through mumble. It doesn't sound that great. When you hear it live on the show, it actually sounds better. But we could do more.
We could drop it more.
I hope the same thing's true for our voices.
We could blow some speakers.
No, our voices sound about the same.
All right. Well, I have some news about Space Force. The Space Force cannot afford to shelter in place. Apparently, they launched a communications satellite as of 2 days ago.
They used their entire yearly budget.
They especially can't shelter in place because they're on Mars.
What?
And they can't stay there too long by themselves.
Just stop trying to be funny.
Matt Damon
stop
there. So
what? Yeah. Okay.
I got nothing.
Yep.
What is with you guys?
So Ben, what was the real reason? What was the real reason they can't shelter in place?
It was just a communication satellite because they're launching satellites still. That's.
So they're actually working. They're national defense, so that makes sense.
Yes.
Did you see that a bunch of high-level Pentagon people have retreated to the a bunch of high-level Pentagon people have retreated to Cheyenne Mountain?
I did.
What?
What'd you say? I missed it. I missed the Tombstone.
A bunch of high-level Pentagon people have gone to Cheyenne Mountain and closed the door behind them, which means the end is probably near. That's technically CV news, but can we allow it just for now since we're talking about?
Did Tom Cruise?
Wait. What does CV stand for?
No, I'm not going to say it.
Do it. I want to hear it.
No. We promised the good listeners that we would not do this to them.
We got I derailed you guys the first 20 seconds.
This is not what we agreed to come back into the segment on.
No. So guys,
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I got curious about Space Force. I'm sorry.
We all are interested in the new Top Gun movie, are we not?
Yeah.
Can I say that as a blanket?
I'm probably not going to go see it. I'm not
going to go to theaters. Is anybody going to go to theaters?
No, I'm not going to go to the theater and see it.
Unless Chinese airplanes are being blown out of the sky by Tom Cruise, I'm not interested.
I don't really want to catch a strange Chinese virus.
Unless the missiles are labeled.
Sure.
Unless the missiles are labeled, this is for the CV, then I'm not going to go.
Wuhan flew to you.
So
we're completely not going to make it.
We'll fix it all in post. All right.
Thanks. Now you're giving me a ton of work.
I would probably go to theater and see it if theaters are open.
I think we should rename General Tso's chicken. We should rename it Trump Chicken.
Ooh.
Is that like
I mean, it is
that like
orange.
freedom fries?
Yes,
The whole
it's
French
like freedom fries, except
No.
worse.
You're right,
Yes.
Oslan. Orange chicken. Orange chicken needs to be
There we
renamed
go.
Trump chicken.
Oh yes.
I mean, that works. That makes some sense.
Yes. I agree.
Kung Pao.
Oh man.
We can just rename it all. We can just rename it all we can name everything from Mick Mulvaney and Devin Nunes.
This seems like a terrible idea. So, anyways,
That's a terrible
gentlemen,
idea.
Top
I'm just rolling
Top
with that right
Gun.
now.
so am I right when I say this that Tom Cruise is
Probably
an
not.
actual pilot?
Yeah, but so is Harrison Ford. He crashed his plane on a golf course.
Well, right, but Harrison Ford
And
tends
he
to-
landed on a taxiway.
Yeah, he
oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I knew there was something else that he had done that was
Harrison
dumb.
Ford has numerous infractions, and they don't seem to be keeping him from the air.
So the funny thing is, so he crashed his PT-22 into a golf course. Like, this has been like, what, 6-7 years ago now? It's been a while.
At least, yeah.
It was
and I don't
on
actually
the
know
show.
if
It was a
his
mechanical
fault.
failure, though.
It was 3 years ago, and
It was.
because we covered it on the show.
Was it really?
No, the taxiway landing was on the show.
Was
the
it?
crash was farther away. Like, it didn't happen while we were doing the show. The taxiway landing did happen while we were doing the show, I believe.
I mean, he may be too old to fly.
Yeah,
and
no,
that-
it was
that
5
happens.
years ago. That's right. That's right.
But the PT. So what kills me though, I think Jeff is right. It was a mechanical failure, not operator failure. But it's a beautiful airplane. I don't know if the airplane survived or not. But the PT-22 is one of my all-time favorites. Anyways, yes, Tom Cruise flying an FA-18, which is also one of my favorites, but he doesn't own it, right? Ben?
no, he doesn't.
I mean, it'd be
he
pretty
doesn't,
cool
to
if
my
he did.
knowledge.
He could probably afford it.
So
But the problem with buying something
Probably.
like that is you can afford the airframe, but you may not be able to afford maintenance on the airframe. That's the
maintenance,
problem.
Exactly.
Maintenance will get
Upkeep
you.
and operation.
yeah, that'll pinch you with an aircraft.
Which
So
is why
wait.
I have a balsa wood glider in my garage that I can't afford to fly. I can afford the $7 at Hobby Lobby, but I can't afford to keep putting rubber bands on it.
That sounds about right.
It's rough.
So wait, so I'm still confused as to why
Okay.
we brought this up, though.
So-
that he
So it's interesting because I love behind the scenes stuff on movies, and so that's why this caught my attention. So in the movie, he flies helicopters, he flies P-51s. Basically, he flies everything, according to Jerry Bruckheimer, who's the producer.
And when you're saying in
But
the movie he flies,
he-
for the listeners, Tom Cruise flies
is the pilot.
the aircraft.
We're not talking movie magic. We're talking
Not
he's
stunt
actually
pilots.
flying. And so, in the movie, Maverick plays a test pilot for the Navy. And
Spoiler alert.
yeah, well, everyone
So
knows
that's
that.
why. So that's why he's in all these weird airframes. Then.
Exactly. That's why he's flying everything.
This whole time.
But the Navy wouldn't allow him to fly an F-18.
And not again, you keep bouncing back and forth. That's not the plot of the movie.
No.
The Navy would not allow Tom Cruise to physically
Yes.
operate the air, but you
Yes.
keep bouncing back and forth
Sorry,
between
sorry.
So
Let's be honest. Are
In
we
the
so
movie-
sure this isn't the plot of the movie?
That's true. That's true. In the movie, as he plays a guy who flies a lot of airplanes, Tom Cruise actually physically flies the airplane. The one airframe they would not allow him to actually physically fly was the F-18 Hornet.
Correct.
He could not afford the rubber bands.
That's right. It's a lot of rubber bands, let me
So
tell you.
I am uncertain whether or not he was actually in one because they mentioned that.
Oh, he was absolutely in one. They did all that stuff about the filming where they put him in the back seat and they all
Yeah,
experienced
they
the
have-
G-forces.
the
They have the
F-18.
G-forces, all that stuff.
Yeah, the back seat. It's hard. It's when you put it on camera. It's hard to tell if you're in the back seat or the front seat.
Well, especially since the
Or the
F-18
only
is
seat.
normally a one-seater, but they have two-seater
Right.
models, and so
Right.
they're using those
Interesting.
for.
It looks when you got the
so-
camera in the front of the cockpit looking to the rear in the second seat. It looks almost exactly the same as if you're in just a one-seat airplane.
I mean, that's how they filmed. That's how they filmed the first one in the F-14s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I need to go back and rewatch that.
Great movie.
It
Melissa
is
hates
pretty good.
And if you think about it, it was even probably tougher in the 14s because you had to make it look like there was somebody behind them because they were supposed to be the pilots and there's Rios in the 14s, which the 14 is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah,
I like.
Well,
I do
if you
like
want
the
to, fly
F-14s.
one, you can just go to Iran and volunteer.
yeah, those suckers have been mothballed for so long they don't fly. I watched a documentary one time about how when they were decommissioning them in the U.S., like how strictly controlled every single part torn off those airplanes was because of the ones left in Iran, and they didn't want Iran getting parts to be able to make them fly.
Who sold the ones to Iran? Did we sell them to Iran?
I don't think were they sold, or did they get left over there when we bailed out of Iran? I forget that part now.
No, I think I think
bailed out of
either we
Iran?
or somebody sold them to them. I'll have to Google it. Hang on.
I'm looking
Let's
it up.
figure this out because that's
Get
fascinating.
up the Google machine. I'm looking up F-14s now because they're so
them,
cool.
yes.
I was going to say, I thought they bought them.
They bought them. I couldn't remember how they got stuck.
Yeah, but we're the only ones that make
there.
them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They probably got them from Stark Industries.
It was 5 years.
Very nice, Ben.
It was 5
real
years before the
particular about their,
1979 Islamic Revolution.
All right, that's why I was trying to remember if they went that far.
yes,
back.
yes,
Should
that's what it was.
Scare you to death that the
Islamic,
the F-14s were in action in 1970 in the 1970s. That's crazy.
Yeah, well,
why should
the
that scare you to death?
C-130's
They're not
flying...
in action anymore.
I know, but that's crazy.
No, I think they are. They're still flying them.
No, 14.
They
don't
are.
fly 14s.
They are. They're still flying them.
Not in the U.S., but they do.
No,
yeah.
here in Iran. No, in Iran they are.
Yeah, in Iran.
Yeah, not
Yeah, the C-1. So the C-130, I think, came off the production line in 1951 for the first time.
Right, which is
So,
crazy.
and they will still be flying them in another 40 years. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, but they're not flying the exact same ones, though. It's not as if they're
Some of them they are actually.
have like 80-year-old planes.
I mean, all the
flying.
parts have been replaced, but yeah,
It's like the C-130 of Theseus.
well, it's just like the B-52s are doing the same thing with them. You know, replace all
Yeah.
the parts, the same airplane.
Yeah.
Those are good airplanes too.
But yeah, that's fascinating.
We need some like awesome looking airplane to come out. You know, like the new stealth bombers or something like that. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anything truly unique come out. For
What's that one I saw at Sun and Fun? The F-22, the Raptor, or whatever.
Or the F-35.
F-35.
Yeah, the F-22's been out for a long time.
F-22 is pretty cool, though.
The 22's been out for a while.
The 22 and the 35 are both in cost overruns massive figures.
Oh, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Why do we spend so much?
Was it the F-22 I saw? Yeah, I believe it was the F-22 I
Did
saw.
it
at
have
Sun
two?
and Fun.
Did it have two
Yes,
engines or one
yes.
engines? And was it VTOL
Yeah, it was.
capable?
It was yes. It was the F-22 because it literally did a 180 in front of us while it was hovering over the.
Then it was not an F-22 because the F-22 cannot hover.
Oh, it can't do that. So then
No,
it must have
35. The
It
35
must have
has
been
a
35
single
then.
tilt engine.
Yeah.
Did
on
I
the back.
did I ever
Which
tell
is
you
pretty
guys
darn
about
cool.
seeing? Did I ever tell you guys about seeing a Harrier fly at the Augusta Air Show in, I don't know, 1997, 97, 98, something like that?
No.
So this is, again, I was like 10,
Do tell.
11 years old, and they had an F-117 flyover from Cherry Point, which was amazing. They had an F-15 and a P-51 flyover in formation, and they had a Harrier. They had it come down. It flew past the end of the runway down, and I don't know if they would do this now because we were all like 100 yards from the runway. We were pretty close, and it came in. It flew to the center of the runway. It stopped in midair about 60, 70 feet off the ground. It turned to face the audience. It waggled the wings. It turned around. It touched down. It took back off, and then it flew away. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
That's pretty cool.
And they also had an F-15 do a vertical takeoff. And that was pretty wild.
That is real.
Just climb out, combat takeoff.
Now
Yeah.
I remember
just
whenever I
firewalled
went to an air show, we saw it was the Blue Angels, but before that they had a one of the stealth bombers, one of the B-2s fly over.
Mm-hmm.
That was trippy.
Couldn't even see it.
No,
Stealth.
you couldn't even see it. Like seriously, like on the horizon, all it looks like is this little sliver, and then it got closer and closer and closer, and it was like dead silent. It was so strange. And then when it got just about over where we were, it opened up on its thrusters, and then boom, it was gone. But it was like
That's awesome.
Until that point, like you could not hear it, and you're just looking at it in the sky, and it was so strange.
In
You
my
guys
previous
know-
jobs, I have worked with people who have flown the B-1, the B-2, the B-52.
Dude, that's awesome.
And what else? F-15, C-130. So yeah, But one person in general that I know has flown the B-1, the B-2, and the B-52, all three of them in a military career.
Wow, that's impressive.
Pretty crazy, yes.
So Jeff, to your point,
so you guys know, you guys were talking about the Blue Angels earlier. You know the trick. You guys have seen them all fly, where they do the thing where they, at the end of the show, they have one come from behind you and surprise the pee out of you.
Yeah.
They did that. Awesome. They did that at the show. They did that at the show in 1998, and 10-year-old me just lost his mind. It was amazing.
Yep. I was, I think I was 10 years old, because it would have been like, I think 99 or 2000 when I saw the show.
Yep. Good times.
So,
hey, you know what?
Goodness,
and I think
awesome.
we can all say that's actually a good use of tax money.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, absolutely.
We need more of that.
I'm 100% fine with that.
I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut.
Entertain me
Jeff,
like that. Don't just give me.
No.
Better.
No. The thing is I don't necessarily disagree with you. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut about the fact that Mathis is like counting the days to his stimulus check, but made a face when you said at the air show.
Wow.
That you made a face at the air show use of money. So,
Aaron has still been out of shape about the Strategic Air Command plane in Omaha.
Dude, that thing burns so much fuel per second.
They will never.
They do constant touch and goes all day long.
It's called training. It's different.
Poking you about that will never not make me laugh.
And to be honest, the military guys don't get a lot of flight time when they're in. They really don't.
Except for those pilots. They're literally flying all day long.
They are cycling pilots through that thing like mad. So each individual guy is not getting that much.
They are flying all the time. It's so
Aaron,
ridiculous.
you just need to. You
know why they're flying all the time over there. Because
Aaron, here's what you need to do.
There.
If you want to take advantage of this, you need to have your wife register for a loan with the the Small Business Administration, and start making jet fuel and hire some minorities so you can be a minority-owned contractor and start selling fuel to the government, and you can be a profiteer just like those guys.
That was elaborate.
Am I wrong? Did I say anything incorrect?
I think that's genius. He's too busy eating breakfast to
That's right. Use your Trump. I mean, in all seriousness, though, we have to use our Trump bucks to lever up because they're just going to inflate away our currency. We have to lever up and buy real assets. Yeah. So
I'm not talking
Aaron,
about this.
For Aaron, that means presses and turrets for his reloading.
Right.
For me, that means mountainsides in North Carolina.
We haven't gone public on that yet, Tombstone.
Oh, did I say something I wasn't supposed to say?
No, it's public now. I mean, it's okay. I'm okay with that.
Does anyone even know what presses and turrets are?
Well, probably not. I think your secret is safe, Aaron.
He said
if
for reloading.
If you say it enough, they can Google it.
Right, exactly. So, no, I have no problem with an air show, guys. Come on.
Yeah, that does not sound.
He says that so grudgingly.
No
he says that he's trying to convince himself that he doesn't have a problem with it.
I have no problem. I have no problem with it if we weren't sending the money overseas to other foreign governments.
Well, they want to see our air shows.
We all have problems.
I am just so angry at public spending right now. It's not even funny.
Except for the stimulus.
No, look, dude. You're saying that like I don't have a problem. I have a huge problem with it.
It'll be interesting.
I have a huge issue with it.
The thing is, like,
you have limited us to 5 minutes, but I wanted to do a segment where we talk about what are your thoughts on stimulus. And then, if you are against stimulus, is it hypocritical to cash that check?
Oh, that's actually a good topic. We should do that next. I like that topic. Let's get this out.
We need to come up with. What are we going to call it? Trump bucks or something? We got to come up with something.
I know we called them Yang bucks.
So,
orange coin,
like back when Yang was running for president, we called it Yang bucks.
It's the new digital currency. Orange coin.
Orange coin.
We should talk about that in the next segment, though, because that's pretty CV free.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, we'll be right back. I just spending, guys. Spending.
All these like our foreign listeners. Every time we say CV, they're gonna think we're talking about our resume or something.
Yes, right? our 3 foreign listeners.
It's probably just Mathis's in-laws.
Did you see where Biden wants to take me to the back of the barn? Me. Some things in life you could really love doing. I don't wear a toupee. It's my hair.
I really am very smart.
I am a young, vibrant man. The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. We will make America great again.
So, I've been voted off the island. And,
Absolutely.
And well, I guess I was vetoed.
Your power was overridden by the House, the Senate, and
as this is where Aaron
whatever
says,
Ozzy is.
I am the Senate. I am the Senate.
Strike me down.
So we decided we're not talking about the CV anymore on the show, but the guys
we
came
will
up
be
with a
talking
loophole.
about Corona beer.
They come up with a loophole that has allowed them
loopholes.
to talk about the effects of the CV, but not talk about it when it comes down to the effects on the economy. So I'm not sure how they're justifying it, but it's just like Congress.
Let's get down to it. Make sure that you don't drink too much.
Wait,
I'm talking about the effects of CB.
Oh,
Corona beer.
CV, not CB.
Oh.
It's Charlie Victor, not Charlie Bravo.
Oh, well, that ruined my sketch.
Can I refer to it as the Modelo virus? Am I allowed to do that, or is that too weird?
I don't think so. I think that's.
What about the Chinese flu?
No.
Flu.
You can't call it that.
The Beijing breakouts.
No, we will get kicked off the air.
Can I call it the Spanish flu then? Because apparently we could still say that.
Well, that's okay because the Spaniards are white.
Can we call it the Shenzhen Shakes?
No, we can't. You can also call it the Kung Flu. It's not allowed.
Did you see Crowder's parody video, Kung Flu fighting?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no. I did
Crowder
not see
weirds
it,
me out.
He does.
Crowder weirds me out. Him and his cross-dressing.
It's a little odd.
He's
you can't hear me?
Different.
Oh, no, I can hear you.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm on Wi-Fi. I'm committing the cardinal sin I've railed on Jeff for doing, and I'm actually on Wi-Fi today. Maybe I should. I'm going to hang on. I'm going to rerun my.
No, don't do it yet. Don't do it. Don't do it till the
break. All right,
don't do it to the break because it'll kick you off.
Yep.
I do have a cable. I just need to plug it in. I have 5 bars though, so it should be good.
Well,
all right. So
yeah.
After that lovely introduction by Mathis, we proposed the idea of just talking about people's opinions on the stimulus package. Although we know no one's read it.
Which may or may not be related to CV, right?
It's absolutely.
Okay.
In the name. And then potential degrees of hypocrisy, if we will, in relation to it. We wanted to pose the question. So first off, are you guys for or against some sort of government stimulus package in relation to this?
I would like to say I'm against it.
I feel like we're dangerously close to breaking our rule here.
Where's the pot stirring gif?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I, if I can elaborate on what I said during my very short segment earlier, the government has botched the reaction to this over and over again. They've basically demanded that we stay home. I don't think it's out of line that if they're going to make us stay home for 2 or 3 weeks because of a mistake they made, that they pay us for staying home because a lot of people are going to lose work. That works too, Ben. Thank you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It definitely makes sense and is definitely
that is the only way that I can make some of it. But people are really going to be hurting. And this is not going to make up for the hurt, but hopefully it will give everybody a little bit of spending money, Really, the problem is that we're brittle, right? Our economy,
you talking about
government
shopping
is brittle.
therapy?
Basically, no, not like what white women do on Sundays. Not like that. I'm talking about putting people back to work so that people can pay their mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because $1,200 is going to pay everybody's
it
mortgage.
It just seems to me our economy, I don't even know if our economy is brittle. I feel like our government is brittle. They only have so many tools in the box they can use. But our economy, I don't know if it's just not designed to handle people staying home for 2 weeks. It's just not.
It's a consumer economy,
right?
And it's built on the assumption that everyone's going to continue to consume.
Now,
and when it contracts, everyone freaks out instead of accepting it as a contraction. Now, this is obviously a massive government-enforced contraction, and we're skirting around the fact that Mathis will not let us talk about whether we agree with all of that government-forced.
I have a
contraction or not.
I have a comment for Jeffrey over there. Now, do you think that because we are such a consumer economy, do you think that this is actually going to help people, or if they're just going to spend it on crud they don't need?
Well,
I think a lot of it
in terms of our economy, the government just hopes they spend it on crud they don't need, because I think that's the whole mindset of our economy is it doesn't matter what you're spending money on, just spend it.
Yeah, but if massive loans and bundled securities don't get paid, then we're going to have other bigger problems than
we have
retail layoffs.
We have mass unemployment.
I think that's the concern. I really see a lot of this money is going to be spent on rent payment and mortgages. I hope.
That's what I'm hoping too. But I like everything else. We are a consumer. We're like a Walmart. Give me the cheapest crap possible, so that way I can get my argument. Fix of stuff I want.
And in all, because I principally, on face value, I'm against a government stimulus for any kind of economic downturn. In the theory of economics that I believe is the most accurate and I subscribe to, it doesn't work. And especially this one where we're already in debt and it's not even really your tax dollars they're giving you. They're just printing dollars. It's just inflationary.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the inflationary effects are going to negate any economic benefit to you all of a sudden getting $1,200, $400, whatever dollars in your pocket. But let me get here. So the claim is being made, we have to pass this month or people are not going to be able to pay their mortgage. Are you kidding me? We're so bad off in this economy that most middle-class people can't pay next month's mortgage because they missed one paycheck.
Yes.
I don't think it is just middle-class people. It's not just middle-class people. There's a lot of people that are not middle-class.
No. Okay, there will always be a class of people that we say have savings for an emergency. We try to, right?
Absolutely.
It's physically impossible. There will always be people in the stage of life, for whatever reason, that can't have those savings. They're working 3 jobs as a waitress, trying to get the savings, trying to pay.
Right.
There will always be that class of people. The poor will always be with you.
You always have the poor with you, but you don't always have all the poor stop paying their rent at exactly the same time. That's the problem.
Correct. But if the other people who have means were being smart, the proper way to go about this is communities, neighborhoods, churches supporting the ones who need the financial boost to get through this little moment. And there's I assume all of us sitting here could pay our mortgage for the next couple months without a government stimulus. That may be a big assumption. You don't have to admit if that's true or not on the radio.
Not if the checks stop coming.
See, then you are part of a community neighborhood church where there is help out there that could help you get through that time.
What are we talking about help per se? Are we talking actual funds? Are we talking
actual
food?
funds?
Are we talking
food so that you don't have to spend your money on food so that you could pay the funds? I've had people reach out to me who have advanced in their careers ahead of me and are in a better financial position that have told me, I know things are tight in the jobs that you work right now. If things were to happen and you were to lose your job, we've talked about it. We've prayed about it. We'd like to help you guys if you need help. I am in a situation where I'm fine. I have not lost any source of income yet. I'm still fine. I also have a little bit of savings. So if it was only a month or two, we'd be okay. So, but I have even experienced in my own personal life, at least one person already reaching out to me and making that offer. And we're all parts of church groups and family groups and societal groups. Even this group right here, the 4 of us would help each other, I assume, if we needed help. So my principles lead me to that much more individualized and personalized strategy. Now, I understand when the entire country is forced to shut down at the same time, then a lot of people who could normally help also lose the ability to help, and the strain may get too great. And that's why Tombstone's argument is very valid, that if the government bungled it, maybe it's also the government's responsibility to pull us out. However, it concerns me that this all had to happen within 2 weeks. People have not even been off of work for 2 weeks, and we had to pass a $2 trillion package, which most of it doesn't even actually go to the people. Are you serious? That's where we're at? We need that?
Jeff, 53% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
Okay.
53%.
Then that's a problem.
No, that's not good. But
and sometimes an economic reset is forced, will knock you off of that mindset.
Yes,
I mean,
but hold on.
We are trying to avoid consequences for decisions. That's what we're trying to do.
Just hold on. So I'm not speaking for myself because I'm okay for the next couple months. We've saved money. We're okay. But for most people, they're living paycheck to paycheck. Over half of the country. Now, is that a wise decision or is that not a wise decision? It's not a great decision. It's not a wise decision. We all can agree on that. However, American fiscal policy and all the regulations and everything have created a system that encourages people to spend, consumer society, and not to save.
And yet those of us who paid attention in economics class are somehow in a position where while it still hasn't been easy for us, we have at least strayed to the safer side of this incentivizing to spend. Okay. So it still comes down to a personal decision, no matter what the incentivization is.
Yes and no.
But at the same time,
for a certain group of people.
Jeff has put his finger on something very important that I've been working through the last couple of years, which is the situation exactly the situation is talking about, that so many people are living paycheck to paycheck. Is that a result of poor character, or is that a result of overwhelming forces on society and economics? And I used to think it was 80% of the first and 20% of the last. I now have basically reversed that. I think people are over underwhelming pressure because wages are stagnated and cost of living keeps going up. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
I think it's 50-50, to be honest, because there's obviously, as I've said, there's obviously going to be the class of people. I say that like I'm not part of it. I've been part of it for most of my life, and I'm barely just eking my way out of it. The class of people that are living paycheck to paycheck, no matter what they do, because they just, like you said, prices go up, wages have stagnated. However, there's also a group of people that are choosing to live way outside their means.
Right. Well, we can't solve that right now.
So here's my question. I mean, I don't even know how to put this.
Like if everybody stays home,
because I haven't thought through this.
If everybody stays home for another 2 months, we're not going to have a country left. There will not be anything left.
No, you're right. I will word it this way. Okay, but does everyone need to stay home for the next 2 months? And that's my point about some of the faulty data that's saying we need to stay home for the next 2 months.
I don't think so. I bring up the 2 months number to say, that even the last 2 weeks has been a massive, massive shock to the system, and the unemployment numbers bear that out. It only takes, so there were 3 million 3.2 million jobless claims this week.
You understand.
Go ahead.
You understand, though, that jobless claim number, part of there is a strategy behind that, too. I know people who their job came to them and they said, look, to get through this downturn, we can't keep paying you with money not coming in.
Right.
We want the company to keep going, and as soon as it comes back, you're going to have a job again. We are going to lay you off instead of shutting, because if we close the business is closed. You don't get anything. If we lay you off, you now can go claim unemployment and at least collect your unemployment check.
That's true, but those businesses can argue still whether can't survive forever without revenue.
Correct. But what I'm saying is, so when we say, there's this massive spike in unemployment claims, if the market can come back within a month or so, a lot of those unemployment claims are going to go right back away because companies are strategically laying off employees that they want to keep so that the employee can collect unemployment.
I don't think you're wrong, but nobody knows how many are going to come back. That and part
we don't
part
know,
of the struggle
but the longer
of
we keep shut down, the less they're going to come back.
I feel like you have an unwarranted degree of optimism about the entire situation.
I don't know that it's optimism.
Is that an unfair assessment?
Ozzy has a thought. I want to know what Ozzy's deep thoughts are. No.
Bring it back. Ben.
He's chickening out.
So my thing is as an economy, we are on such a razor thin margin on so many levels. So from the restaurants that are literally turning a 2 to 3% profit, meaning most of the time their owners probably don't even get paid. To people, working jobs, paycheck to paycheck, having to have, back to the 2-income gap. I mentioned this to someone earlier this week. That families nowadays, because of inflation, because of monetary policy, we have to have 2 incomes in a family. Or I can't say you have to, but to hit that middle class status, you kind of have to nowadays.
Yeah. Now the problem that I have with a lot of this is I think, and I'm aware that it costs money. There is inflation. I'm aware of that. I get it, but you have to look at how people were raised. You have people who are raised by parents, and then you have people who are raised by school systems. Now, does this that's a whole different conversation right there? But go ahead.
Because it is and it isn't. Because he's going where I was going.
Because of public schools. Because of public schools and importance of what is taught in those schools, you have people who are becoming complete consumers. And they are living paycheck by paycheck, but not because they have to, because they want things. They spend money when they don't need to instead of saving money when they need to. Now, I'm not saying that that's not hard, but like for instance, when I moved up to New Jersey, I was working a part-time job and I had an apartment and I had food. Now, I was not eating great, but I had the money that I needed to survive, and I was saving little by little. But I'm also aware that is the way that I was brought up, was that you need to be careful with your money. And if you don't have money and you're on a tight budget, that means you even need to be more careful. And I think because of our society, we have pushed so much. You know what? Here's our cheap goods from wherever they come from. You know what? You can go to the mall. You can do this. You can do that. Because that's what we were taught. And then we had our parents to fall back on for all of the rest of the needs. And so when they become adults, like we are today, you have a completely unsustainable consumer society. So that when a crisis comes up, no one's prepared beyond 2 weeks. Now,
and to Oswald's point,
is this government's fault because of not preparing us? Is this, where do we go with this? So, because if it's government's fault, then I'm fine with government paying out for it. But if it's people's fault, then it's kind of like, okay, but, you need to be careful with your money. But, I don't know.
Two things to that. So two things to that. To Ozzy's point, he's very right with the consumer society and the fact that essentially a lot of people don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. They have to live paycheck to paycheck to achieve the standard of living that they want to achieve. How many NFL players who are making millions of dollars a year, and an NFL career is a very short-lived career. I think we talked about on the show, like the average length of an NFL career is only a year or two at this point when you average it all out. Now you've got guys like Tom Brady that never go away, and then you've got guys who are only there for one season. But how many of these guys who make millions a year do you see end up broke because the whole time they're making millions a year, they're essentially living paycheck to paycheck because they got 6 Hummers and 5 mansions and buying drugs on the side and whatever else they're doing
you
with
mean
their
they're
money.
They're not living like Rob Gronkowski, who squirreled it all away?
Exactly.
Strangely enough.
And part of it is a societal thing. We have found out the credit card, buying on credit, like the American standard of living has risen so much so fast because when the economy's good and you can buy on credit and make payments, you can continually buy things that are better than you could ever have. Mm-hmm. And then when you're living paycheck to paycheck, you can buy things. If you had to save up and really be able to afford your TV and have all your debts covered before you bought that big screen TV, if you bought a house that was truly the house you could afford no matter what and not the house that you wanted and you could barely squeak out the mortgage payment, all of those kind of things, if you operated that way, then you wouldn't necessarily have the standard of living that a lot of people have, but you'd have a lot more savings. And what we've done is, as a society, and this is Oslin's question, is it families or is it government? Is it society or is it government? And it's a little of both that have incentivized the standard of living over the security. And why have they incentivized that? Right. Safety nets.
Let me give you a counterpoint.
To a second point, to just one final thing, and Tombstone's going. To a second point, he said he's fine. He's fine if the government pays for it if they created the problem. But like Mathis, he blamed it on inflationary policy, and the government paying for it is nothing more but inflationary policy.
No, I was
going to address that, but somebody went on a 10-minute tear.
Tombstone. He's ceding to you. He's ceding to you.
I yield back the rest of my time.
So I would like now to start green eggs and ham.
On the inflationary aspect, we're functionally living under modern monetary theory, which means the functional result of that is that nobody really cares what the debt load is, and nobody is really worried about inflation. That's the bad news. I shouldn't say that nobody's worried about inflation. The Fed is actually very worried about inflation. And the Fed has actually been doing a pretty decent job of mitigating inflation, even with all the craziness that's been going on for the last 10 years. Now, whether they continue to do that, to no end, I probably not. But I honestly don't pretend to know how all this works. Just that people are working very hard to solve that particular problem. But yes, Jeff is right. We are going to pay the price of inflation. There is no spending, $2 trillion on stimulus is not going to help that problem. But going back to the family finances thing, I think what we need to remember, and Elizabeth Warren's book talks about this some in the original edition of the Two Income Trap, is that the amount of pressure a family can be under financially if things go wrong is wildly disproportionate to the benefits they reap if things go right. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I believe so.
So I guess what I'm saying is, for you to weather, if you are, I don't want to talk about my personal,
hypotheticals
situation here, but we have one income in this house. To save it, living relatively frugally, for us to save a month of expenses takes roughly 4 months, and
I'd guess
that can be wiped out. Yeah, and for some people it's a lot longer. For that to be wiped out, that can be wiped out in one bad medical bill.
Right.
It doesn't take much. So, and again, I put that back on wage stagnation. We can talk about why that is. But
correct. But Tombstone, are you also part of some sort of I lost the term, but group that if one bad medical bill popped up, there would be some sort of support group there that you would not have to blow your entire savings to assist with that bad medical bill? Or if the garage burned down or the car broke down, are you part of some sort of core group that would be there to assist you through those type of big emergencies because you aren't currently able to necessarily have the savings to cover all those contingencies?
Culturally, I would expend whatever resources I had before I would ask for help. I think
unfortunately, all of us are that way. I hate asking for help. My pride gets in the way of that way too often.
So, but again,
one thing I'm learning,
leaving that aside, again, it's not that some of these resources don't exist. Although in a lot of communities, maybe a lot of people don't have 3 or 4 people they can call who might be able to help them with something like this. A lot of people don't have anybody that has any extra resources. Everybody is stretched out to the max.
And and why do they not have those so again, is it a governmental thing or a societal thing?
No, because poor people tend to live close to each other and they tend to have friends that are poor. That's just
correct.
That's just how it is.
But okay, again, we're all believers here. So within a church body, within most given church bodies, there's going to be poor. There's going to be those that are well off. There's going to be those that are middle class.
I know, but not everybody goes to church, and a lot of poor people go to church with a lot of other poor people.
Correct. Okay.
The point is not that these structures can't exist or that they don't exist. The problem is today, right now, this week and last week, you can't tax all those support structures simultaneously in the same week, which is April 1st when the bills come due. That's the problem.
But did we need to tax all those structures to the extent that we've taxed them? B, what you're saying, essentially then what we've seen is over the last 200 years is a total societal breakdown of the American societal unit, which was the family, the community, the church, and it has slowly been supplanted by essentially the government.
People are
abandoning people are abandoning.
To the New Deal, this is nothing. I mean, you can blame the New Deal for a lot of that, but this is compared to the New Deal. This is nothing. The only reason we're even having this debate is because the New Deal is obviously so catastrophic. But we can't put that particular genie back in the bottle this week.
But Jeff, you're assuming that the community and that the churches have money right now, and that is wildly inaccurate.
Some don't. But see, again,
just hold on, man.
At what point are we going to admit that what we're trying to do is mitigate the consequences for decades of bad decisions? And at some point, the piper must be paid.
I don't disagree with you, but nobody's going to pay the piper.
Then we are going to continue to spiral into this authoritarian abyss. At some point, the piper must be paid if you want to be free.
Yes, so you need to figure out an alternate plan besides ripping off the Band-Aid. There has to be another plan besides ripping off the Band-Aid because nobody is going to rip the Band-Aid off.
I think the other problem is that people don't see it coming either. So you know what I mean? So people aren't planning for this. It's all of this smoke and mirrors, and so all people are concerned about right now is I need money to live.
Give me my $1,200.
Right, I need money to live, which is a valid concern at this point in time. But
it's a lack of principles leading to an excess of fear.
Potentially, yeah. But in
a lot of people, that's not a direct shot at you, Mathis. That's in a lot of people.
Even though you said that this week, yes,
yes. But as Aslan is pointing out, the people that don't see anything else coming, all they're thinking about is the next paycheck. Right. It's because they've lived their life thinking that way, and they just have to run to the next biggest structure that they think can hand out money. And because the job disappears, the government's the next answer.
Maybe this is going to be the wake-up call for them. Maybe this is going to be a societal wake-up call for them.
But not if the government just bails them out.
Guys, we're talking over each other.
If you want to go back to the 30s and the New Deal, the reason we have the regime that we have, the welfare regime and the social safety net regime that we have, is not just because poor people demanded handouts during the New Deal. In fact, it was quite the opposite. The reason we have is because wealthy liberals and some wealthy Republicans, although in the 30s it was kind of a mixed up thing, but the reason we have it is because wealthy liberals said this ideologically, this is what we want because this is going to create a smooth continuance of power and state, and because that was their ideal. And I'm not saying that to condemn them. I get that. But you got to understand, Jeff, there are people who think that there's a possibility the whole thing could come apart. I don't necessarily disagree with them either.
So
that would
then
be bad.
We're beating this dead horse at this point. We're beating. So let me throw out this question.
Oh, get another stick.
For people that are opposed to government bailouts, which apparently is only me on this show at this point.
Oh my goodness.
Is it hypocrisy? Is it hypocrisy for them to take and use this, whatever the stimulus check turns out to be?
You're the only one I don't want getting one.
Wow,
that's a good question.
I mean, the same thing can be said for Social Security or for any other type of assistance.
It can and it can't. No,
Medicare?
because
I mean,
with Social Security, they're taking it out of my check by force.
Right,
so even though I don't agree it should happen, I should at least get my money back.
Now, I think this depends on how you view the check. If you're viewing it as in them giving you some of your more of your taxes back, then I am 100% fine with it. I'm not fine with the fact that they're literally printing money to make this happen, and it's not backed by anything but air. That's what scares me. The other thing that scares me,
full faith and credit of the U.S. government.
Ben, I don't like it either, but that's not new. That's not new. It hasn't been new for 50, 60 years.
The other thing that has me extremely leery is not so much the actual money, it's what else is in that bill that we do not know about, because during crisis is the perfect time for both parties to shove all of the stuff into whatever they want, because nobody's going to be analyzing it and reading it until after the fact, and after the fact, maybe another 10 years later.
Which is why Massey became the world's whipping boy the other day to try to point that out, read it, and force the vote on it. Props to Representative Massey from Kentucky, right?
I can't even. At the risk of endearing myself to Jeff even more, Massey should have sat down and shut up. Because all he did was be the nail that stuck up that had to be hammered down. That's all he accomplished.
Hey, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, he delayed the process for what was it, a day and a half, 2 days. He should have just registered a formal complaint in the congressional record and moved on with life. That's what he should have done.
And Thomas Jefferson should have said, and Thomas Jefferson should have put at the end of his letter to the King of England, "Yeah, we don't like all this crap you're doing to us, but I don't want to be the nail that gets hammered. So I'm just going to roll over and let the redcoats live in my house."
He didn't surprise anybody. He made it about him, and it's not about him.
If Washington, Jefferson, and Adams applied that philosophy, we would still be drinking tea at 2 p.m. or whenever it is.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't.
On that happy note,
okay.
We would be part of the United Kingdom if our founders applied that philosophy.
No, we wouldn't. We'd be part of the Confederate States.
Jeff, Ben might actually be right about that.
No, because we'd have never gotten to the point where the Confederate States appeared.
Confederate States probably would have rebelled. They probably would have rebelled even so in the 20s.
Wow, did we get off track?
Wow. We don't know how not to rebel.
We never did answer the hypocritical question for the check. Now, it's my understanding you can't exactly refuse the check. It's coming.
You can send it back, just like all the progressives don't want to do.
Yeah, you could pay the taxes.
You just pay extra taxes.
And you're right. It's this conundrum too. Whereas I've seen a lot of people view it. I've seen a lot of libertarians view it as, you know what, they take so much from me in taxes. This is me getting my taxes back. But like Aslan said, I can't fully view it that way, because they're not cutting any spending. Matter of fact, they're increasing spending. And so they're not actually giving you back taxes. They spend all your taxes plus debt from China, plus they're just going to print more money and inflate it.
Jeff, I'm going to tell you exactly what I've been saying for the last few months, which is you need to come to terms with the fact that you're living in the empire, not the republic. The rules have changed.
Okay. But did people just lay down and accept the empire, or did they fight back against it?
If you have a light sword, then you've already got a heads up on it, which we have 3 in my family, so we're ready.
I can't tell you.
Aaron, mute him, please. Jeff, my point is that there are forces. There are really the things that are in play are not matters of principle. They're global forces of economics and society that you may not necessarily be able to do anything about. So
we just shouldn't try.
I'm just saying, just be happy you've got the money and use it to harden your personal infrastructure.
Well, correct. And that's kind of where I've arrived, in that I'm against it happening. I would fight against it happening. Now that it's happened or is in the process.
Show me the money.
I'm not really happy
in the process of happening. The resources are going to be used to the best possible ability.
I'm not really happy about any of this. I think it's terrible. I wish I had a competent government, but I've come to terms with the fact that I don't have a competent government, and there's not really much that I can do about it. So I'm just going to keep doing what I can actually affect, and I'm going to focus on that. And that makes me happy.
That's the scary thing, is that there's not much I can do about it. And so unfortunately for decades, we've believed that way. We've stopped teaching people that they could do something about it. We've stopped teaching the worldview and the principles that would empower people to do something about it. I don't understand why Mathis has to laugh every time I say worldview and principles.
No. It's because now you're telling Tombstone he doesn't have any principles. So
I'm not telling Tombstone. I am not
doing.
That is not what he's doing. See, this is the problem arguing with Mathis, Tombstone.
Be kind to our friend, Aaron.
I appreciate discussions with Tombstone because they are very principled.
I noticed my name wasn't in there either. Thanks.
I have very.
It's hard to determine what
Jeff,
discussions with Oslin are like.
I mean, you know me, and when we talked last time when you came to Greenville, we talked about this. I have extremely strong moral preferences and political preferences. I'm getting to the point where I'm very, very used to not getting my way about any of it.
Correct. You're simply applying a pragmatic solution to the problem, and I understand that reaction to it. I understand that reaction.
Am I that bad, Ben?
Sometimes. Maybe. I'm probably about where you were a year and a half ago or so. So, don't worry.
My point when Mathis started laughing. My point when Mathis started laughing about principles,
I don't disagree with you. Is that
it's a history of failure.
The reason that
failure.
People, again, do you believe that the reason people think the way they think is a result of bad character, or do you think it's because there's a massive propaganda machine that influences them that way? I mean,
it's because we've let the to Ozzy's point earlier, we've let the propaganda machine teach and have abandoned passing down our principles and our worldview.
Yeah, Ben.
We've abandoned.
Just typed in what we're not going to say.
We've abandoned our personal responsibility to pass our American ideals, if you want to call them that, although it's racist to call them that at this point, our Western free civilization ideals.
That's racist.
Well, it's not actually, but it'll be.
You're racist.
It's about to be.
we have failed to pass down our worldview and our principles to generations, and a few of us, like most of us here, are clinging to them.
I think you have to have that. I think to have that happen, our leaders in our governing apparatus, to include the media, the schools, and the bureaucracy, is very powerful, and they have acted in their own interests for a lot of American history, but especially in the last 90 years.
Because that's where we're at to prevent it. We are the media. We select the officials.
No, we're not. They are not us. They're not us. They act totally contrary to our interests, and they despise our culture.
Because we've allowed them to.
Hold on. This is the reason we're not the media. We're not getting paid. You're welcome.
And when I say we are the media, I'm not saying the four of us sitting here. I'm saying individuals from this country make up and select those institutions.
Hold on, we got a Tombstone book recommendation.
You guys are going to get tired of me saying it, but if you read Mold Bug, it will make a lot more sense. You will get a better idea of the scope of the problem and the why of the problem. And it won't make you depressed. It will actually make you less depressed. It will make you more focused on your scope of influence. Put it that way.
I have
an open letter.
This.
Go read an open letter to an open-minded progressive, and it's very good. Go read it.
I've greatly enjoyed this, and you can tell it's a topic I've enjoyed because Mathis's eyes are just glazed over. Hating me every moment.
No, not in the least. I'm here.
Yeah.
So can I end on something?
You give me a platform, I'm going to advocate for my worldview and principles.
Let me say this as we go on to the next thing. Whether you're on social media or whether you're talking to your friends in person or whatever it is, this is a really, really rough time for everybody. What's interesting about this is because contrary to a lot of other things that have happened in politics and news in the last few years since we've done the show, this is affecting every single person in our audience, and it's affecting us all in very personal ways, and it's affecting us all differently. So unlike us on the show, please be kind, be gracious. People are coming from a variety of ways, and some people are going to get clobbered by this. Some people are not going to get clobbered by it.
I don't feel that we've been unkind. I've advocated for individuals helping.
I was being a little bit silly.
Except for me.
I mean, you don't have to go very far to find people shouting at each other on Twitter.
Which is ridiculous, and we may have resorted to some of that this week at each other.
Hey, our private conversations are
what happens on Signal stays on Signal.
What happens?
It's fun. It's fun to yell at each other.
You guys were not prepared for this, so that's all I'm saying.
Let's put it this way: we know we can yell at each other like that in those forums because we have the foundational relationship.
Right,
it's
exactly.
Not actually going to cause issues.
I just want to point out that I don't necessarily disagree with Jeff completely. Like, regardless of whether or not this is a big deal or not, whether or not, this is a situation where the government should have stepped in when they stepped in, whether or not they are going too far or not, we've got big issues at stake in our country right now. From an economic standpoint, from a health standpoint, from everything standpoint. Like, we're in a not good place. And we leave ourselves susceptible to dare I say, tyranny because of this. And to Ozzy's point, we don't know what's in that bill. I don't know how many times it's been mentioned, but it hasn't been mentioned much. But the Fed and the Treasury basically got combined this week in this bill.
Yeah,
and we don't know the implications of that, but we know that means the White House has control over the Fed now. And that is disturbing.
Right. Because that was specifically set up to be two separate entities. One could not control the other.
Well, the Fed shouldn't exist. So.
But again, the Fed shouldn't exist.
Preach.
But that's a totally different topic.
Yeah. I don't disagree, but
I guess my point is you also see surveillance. Countries are stepping up surveillance on people. The Feds, the Pentagon wants access to people's cell phone records in order to track where they've been in real time.
Yeah, there was an article that said, "Good job, Michigan. Your cell phone data shows that you are taking social distancing seriously."
And that's terrifying. And so even though I'm in the standpoint of, hey, we need to be social distancing right now, we need to be cautious about who we're coming in contact with, I don't think we need to be shutting down the economies of New York, Michigan, and wherever else we're shutting them down.
When did Minority Report take place?
I know for a fact that Jeff is going to scream when I say this, but in my opinion, it's social distancing order, as long as the consequences are not over the top, is a overbearing but paternalistic government. But tracking your cell phone data is tyrannical government.
That's tyranny. That's ridiculous.
I don't know that I disagree with any of that statement.
Whoa.
So
end it now.
I know. We can end on a high note.
We'll come back with arguing over 1984 trivia, maybe.
Ooh. Are we gonna do our trivia segment today?
Of course we are.
Yes.
All right, let's do that next.
Of course
We're so sorry we didn't do it last week.
They deliver in other ways, but they want to deliver vast amounts of information over the internet. And again, the internet is not something that you just dump something on. It's not a big truck. It's a series of tubes. And if you don't understand, those tubes can be filled. And if they're filled, when you put your message in, it gets in line. It's going to be delayed by anyone that puts into that tube enormous amounts of material.
She's shocked that I picked her. Like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
So savage.
Gentlemen,
I wish we had more of that Trump and less of bloviating Trump.
The question is, guys, are you thinking?
I'm ready to think.
Are you thinking?
I've just had an entire monster, so my brain is like, oh.
Wow. That's
gay.
Oh boy.
That's not good for you.
Jeff has stop this and let me off right now.
So, gentlemen, we are going to embark on the adventure of the Trivial Pursuit Genus 2 edition from 1984. Yet again, because why do we stick with the 1984 edition?
Because that's the one we have.
The only one I had, and I
like it.
I do too.
It adds a certain amount of something to it. It makes it work.
It's got some something to it.
Those of us that are old souls have a better chance. Like Jeff, who was born in 1776.
So we're gonna go oldest to youngest here, which means Tombstone.
Jeff's godfather was George Washington.
Which means I think it goes Tombstone,
hopefully
Jeff, and then Ozzy.
I would like
right?
George Washington Carver. He, like peanuts. That's everybody likes peanuts.
Aaron, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, so oldest to youngest. Since you're the elder, Tombstone, you'll get to go first.
I thought Ben
Elder
was the
Tombstone will take the No, 32.
Hang on.
Without throwing around birthdays.
Hold on, we can do months. Ben, when's your birthday?
July
of
87.
Dang it, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm the baby here.
Yep.
I'm not playing, so it doesn't matter for me.
That's
Jeffrey?
right. Crap.
Jeffrey?
I'm
Ben
the baby.
Ben is
here.
a month. Oh, Ben is a month younger than I am. So
okay, so it's Tombstone, Ozzy, then Jeff.
I mean, I feel like it's unfair because I'm already going to be so far out ahead of the pack. But
wow, the confidence.
Older people
okay.
all right. Things faster.
So,
too.
gentlemen,
you can just call me the Cam Newton of 1984 trivia.
Means you're going to be looking for a job.
You're the Colin Kaepernick of 1984.
Oh, that's harsh.
So, if you guys remember,
if you kneel during this segment,
wow. So we have one card.
I would not kneel, but I would take a knee. There's a difference.
Yeah, but whose knee?
Tebow's. Oh.
All right.
This is not getting any better.
I'm ready, Aaron.
So gentlemen, Trivia
My body
Pursuit.
is ready.
So what you will do is you will pick the category, then you will pick the number of points, 1 to 3, 1 to 3, and if you do not get the question right, you will pass that question on to the next person who has the opportunity to steal, and then answer their own question for more points. All right. So, Tombstone, you have 6 categories here: geography, entertainment, history, art and literature, science and nature, or sports and leisure.
We'll go with the tried and true geography.
Tried and true geography question.
We'll go for 2 points. We'll get warmed up.
2 points. I assume you're writing this down, Jeff, since you are the numbers man. Mm-hmm. What European city
Just our bookie.
do Niçois live in?
So one more time. I'm sorry, Aaron.
What European city do Niçois live in?
Spell it.
Can you spell it?
Nicois.
Nice, France.
Are you?
That is correct for 2 points.
It's not a European city.
A city in France?
What?
Did he say Nice, France?
Yeah,
or
Nice.
Did he say? Oh, I thought he just said France. I was like, I'm like, that's not a city, man.
Ozzy, unfortunately, you did not get the pass because Tombstone didn't pass it to you.
No.
But you now have the option.
That's a good thing with whatever Tombstone has.
You now have the option of any other category except for geography.
Let's do entertainment.
Entertainment.
For
how many points?
3 points. Go big or
for
go
3
home.
points. What Dick Van Dyke Show cast member often utters the word yucca-puck?
That's so obscure. That's why I haven't
it
done
probably
entertainment.
wasn't in 1984.
Hold on,
That's
hold
the
on.
thing.
Is his name? Isn't it Buddy or something? Or oh crud, what's his name? I actually watched the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Of course you do.
And I'm the boomer.
What is his name? I think it's Buddy or something.
Is that your final answer?
If he gets even partially right, he deserves full credit for that answer.
That is probably true because I'm not going to get it on the pass.
I think it's Buddy or something is the guy's name.
Buddy or something.
That's my final answer. Yeah.
Well,
let's go with the or something.
Well, the unfortunate answer is the or something.
Dang it.
So we move on to Jeff.
His name? Yeah, what is
the
it,
opportunity to steal?
Poor Jeff.
I've got nothing. I don't know the Dick Van Dyke Show characters' names.
So the question is, we've never played this with 3 people. Does it pass on from there?
It does pass. It goes to Tombstone, right? And then the next turn is mine, but it goes to Tombstone.
Right. So Tombstone, you have a chance to steal.
Can I not steal?
Well,
it doesn't hurt you.
It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt you. Doesn't hurt you anything.
If
he gets this right, I'm going to flip.
No, I have no idea. I've never watched the Dick Van Dyke Show. I mean, I know who Dick Van Dyke is, but I've never seen the variety show.
So you're going to just never mind. You don't care.
Yeah, that's a
Carol
pass.
Burnett.
This is Maury Anderson.
I have no idea who that is.
Amsterdam. Excuse me, Maury Amsterdam.
How did you get that wrong?
I was thinking about someone whose name was Anderson. It was weird.
All right.
Hope you're doing well, Maury.
Sports and leisure.
So Jeff is going to take sports and leisure, which tends to be his...
So hang on. Ben gets this.
Why?
Ben gets this because the role he played was Buddy Sorrell on the show, and you didn't ask for the actor.
You said what the character's name.
What cast member?
What
cast member?
Ben gets it. Ben gets it.
Wouldn't you know the cast members by their name? Like, if you asked me what cast member of The Office played, always said false, I would say Dwight Schrute.
I don't make up these questions or answers. I don't know.
Oslin gets it.
We are advocating the rules.
Okay.
He gets it.
Okay, that's fine. If you guys voted on it, that's fine. I realize where I am on the show.
Good. You're learning.
All right, gentlemen. Sports and leisure for Jeff.
3 points.
3 points.
Oh, right.
What popular children's optical toy was devised by Sir David Brewster in 1816?
Ooh,
I think I know what it is.
That is correct, Jeff.
Yay! Nice work.
Wow. Tombstone, you have the options of history, art and literature, or science and nature.
What?
Let's try science and nature. Let's go for 3 just to see what happens. I'm probably overconfident.
Gentlemen.
I'm not actually overconfident, but I want to challenge.
You know that the points don't change the toughness of the question.
They don't?
No, they don't.
So there's the points are pointless.
But I lose. Do I lose the points or what?
No, because Mathis got rid of the negative points too. So the points are literally pointless.
Because we're already so negative on the show.
See, the thing is, the answer,
you're not risking anything by putting more points on it.
But if I don't get it and then Ben answers it, then Ben gets my points.
Yes, that's
correct.
Right.
Correct.
So really, the only gamble you're taking is that somebody else might get your points.
If everybody bids 3 points, it's just who answers the most questions correctly.
All right, I'll bid 3 points then.
3 points. How many Friday the 13th are there on the calendar for each of 1987, 1998, and 2009?
I love how this was looking so far into the future with that question.
What kind of question even is that?
Wow.
It's a science question.
Get to extrapolating there.
That's like freaking astrology.
No, it's
let me think about it. Hang on.
How many Friday the 13th?
I'm just gonna I'm gonna guess because I have no way of knowing what the answer is, but how many Friday the 13th? The 13th is. I'm gonna guess 0.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with 6.
6 Friday the 13th in one of each of those.
Sure.
That's incorrect.
13.
No. Just no.
I was this close to saying 26 or 28. I'm not gonna lie. And then I thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute. That's not
Jeff,
possible.
I'm kind of glad because your answer was even wronger than my answer.
It was.
Like 4, 3.
I can't do the math, so I'm 3.
It's 3. So So there's 3 Friday the 13th in each of those years.
Wow.
I was going with the lucky number 13.
Why would they even ask that?
That's
a ridiculous.
Why would they ask?
That was science and nature.
Yes. I don't make up these questions, gentlemen.
Yeah, we think you do.
That's
though.
true. Well, you were
What
around
were they
back then.
smoking in 1984?
What was I smoking in 19? I wasn't.
What were
born
they
yet.
smoking? The creators of this godforsaken game.
All right,
Well,
Ozzy's turn.
Might have been somebody named Dave.
Ozzy, you have the option of history or arts and leisure.
Let's go with history. Why not?
All right. What was a British sailor's punishment if he found himself between the devil and the deep blue sea?
I think I actually know this one.
I was going to say flogging, but I don't think that's what it is.
What was a sailor's punishment if he found himself between the devil and the deep blue sea?
He had to walk the plank?
That is incorrect.
Yeah, I don't know.
I believe the term is keel hauling, Alex.
That's correct. What in the world?
That was my guess as well. Good job, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know that.
I'm trying to remember if it's from here. Alistair MacLean, British author,
Yeah.
bunch of nautical novels.
Nice, nice reference.
I believe that's where I got the term.
Wow.
And,
how many points did you get?
I guess 3. Ozzy didn't say, but
Oh, yeah, 3.
Yeah.
for knowing keel hauling,
We'll get it to you.
basically they tie you to a rope and throw you over the side, and you're being smushed between the keel of the boat and the water.
Oh, yeah.
That
Wow.
that sounds lovely.
That
would be
is
my
terrifying.
guess
Yeah,
of
it
between
looks
the
like
devil and the deep blue sea.
it looks like they throw you off one end of the boat with a rope and then drag you all the way under the keel to the other end of the boat.
Well, there you go. That's your punishment.
And apparently there's a lot of barnacles underneath there, so you get the
Scraped
bejeebers
up.
scratched out of you.
That's a lovely thought.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So
wow.
it's now Jeff's
I am
turn.
impressed.
Jeff gets the last question on this card,
Arts
which
and
is
leisure.
arts and
Or
leisure.
arts and yeah, whatever it is.
Which of Shakespeare's kings cries, "A horse, a horse, my kingdom for a horse"?
King Lear.
That is
Good
incorrect.
guess. Good guess, though.
I mean, that's like the most popular king other than the other one. And how many points were you going for, Jeff? I forgot.
1, because they can steal it now. 3. We'll just do 3. We'll do 3.
Tombstone, is your chance to steal.
Richard III.
That is correct.
Dang it. I wouldn't have gotten it anyway.
That's all
King
right.
Lear.
Because
I was going to guess Henry.
King
Tombstone
Lear.
bid.
Did you guys see the Bob Jones production of Lear in 2008 or whatever it was?
Not.
Probably.
I did
if
not.
I was there, but
They simulated the eye gouging behind the screen. That was amazing.
I don't remember.
That's lovely.
I did not.
It was pretty gory. Okay. Anyways,
Tombstone, this is your chance to steal.
I'm ready.
What? That was the end of the game.
Chance. Well, he gets. Oh, it's the end of the cards. Yeah, it is.
That was the last. That's the end of the card.
It is. So
Tombstone got 5 points. I got 6.
Wait a second.
He bid 2 points, and Ozzy got 3. Tombstone bid 2 points on his first question because he had not figured out that the points are pointless.
Yeah.
So if we go by most right questions, Tombstone and I are tied.
Oh, well, that stinks. We need a tiebreaker then.
Do it.
All right, tiebreaker.
All right, gentlemen. What's the tiebreaker?
What's the bird outside my window?
Ozzy gets to pick. Ozzy gets to pick the. You pick a new card. Ozzy gets to pick the category.
All right.
All right, Ozzy.
Let's do arts and leisure.
We're doing arts and leisure. Who gets to pick first? Paper, rock, scissors?
That's hard.
Why not?
First of all, that's a weird order to say it. Second of all, it's really hard to do over video chat. But here we go.
Do
Are
it.
we ready?
This is the perfect medium. Ready? 1, 2,
3, shoot. I
have a rock. Jeff has scissors. I win.
Okay. Yep.
Tombstone wins.
Tombstone wins.
Okay, so Tombstone gets the first stab at this question.
That should have just been the tiebreaker.
I know.
It was brutal.
That's awesome. Okay.
Well, no, because if he gets it right, I get a chance to answer though, like football overtime rules.
Okay.
Kind of some.
So
football overtime rules.
what thriller takes James Bond to the suicide gardens of the maniacal Dr. Shatterhand?
Oh my gosh.
Ooh. Yeah.
That's a great question.
Is this a movie or a book?
This is a
thriller.
This is a thriller of James Bond.
I believe this is just one of the novels.
Dr. Shatterhand?
Oh, no, it is not.
So it is a movie?
It is the movie. It is one of the movies, yes.
It could be a book, too.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're all books from my understanding, basically.
So don't give him answers. Don't give him hints.
Why?
I don't know.
Because there's 22. There's 22 movies.
Yeah, if Jordan was here, he would know which one it was.
Real narrows.
Absolutely.
Narrows it down.
It's one of the few ones that I have known, actually. So
really,
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess Dr. No.
That is incorrect.
No.
Okay.
All right, Jeff, it's your turn.
Do we just keep going until don't say
the movie that we have to bleep.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking. I wasn't going to say
it. It's not that one.
It's not the one we have to bleep.
I figured you would have said that. I figured you would have said that if it was that. If that was it.
Careful.
Easy.
What was the one? Thunderball or something like that?
Thunderball is correct. Is a movie, but
that is not correct.
That's not the one.
No, that's not the correct one. It is. You only live twice.
Ah.
Yes. So
all right, round two.
So round two. Ozzy, you need to pick another one.
What do we got left? Let's do history.
So does this one go to Jeff or does it go to me?
Goes to me first. Jeff first, I believe. Yeah.
It goes Jeff first. Yeah.
Okay.
What judicial job was John Jay the first to hold?
Say that again.
What judicial job was John Jay the first to hold?
Chief Justice, Supreme Court.
That is correct.
Ooh.
So does Tombstone get a chance to get one right?
Yeah, he gets a chance to match me.
Okay. So Ozzy, what's the next category?
What do we have left?
We've only done arts and literature and history.
Science, nature.
We're going science and nature.
Dang it! If I get asked a question about how many Tuesdays are in the year 1965, I'm going to freak out.
How many teeth does the average alligator have? Oh, no, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Yes, I thought it was real,
dude. You had me going there.
Holy cow! It was real.
No, it's even worse than that, Tombstone.
Oh, great! Yes. I can't wait.
What's the alligator pair better known as?
Like a mating pair?
What?
Oh, PEAR?
Alligator PEAR.
Oh.
Better known as?
Alligator pair. I've never heard of such a thing. Aaron's like, I have no pity on you.
Think about it.
Do you know, Ben?
I know because I looked it up, and it makes sense.
Thanks for that hint. I appreciate that. Alligator pair.
PEAR.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
Not like a pair of alligators, but a pair.
That's my point.
I like that his mind. I like that his mind went to the mating pair, though.
dirty Tombstone. Of course, your mind went there.
They're called husband and wife.
And Tombstone just dropped his mic.
Did you just drop your mic?
Yes, he did.
It was a mic drop, but not in that way.
I knocked it off the stand. I was waving my hands around hysterically. And Alex, hang on. Let me think about this. I haven't had to work this hard in a long time.
This is why we needed a timer.
I know.
Notice all my answers have been quick.
You've been good today, Jeff. I'm impressed.
Thanks, Jeff.
Normally, you're very long-winded, Jeff.
I've been trying.
Please try harder. Alligator pair.
He's completely not paying attention.
Give me. All right, I need 15 seconds of quiet to figure this out.
We can't give you quiet. We're on the air. We're on the air. I mean, we can't mute. Like
white noise.
I mean, yeah, that's not right.
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
I'm curious.
I'm going to say the ugly fruit.
No.
What the heck's that ugly fruit?
Jeff,
ugly fruit exists.
Jeff, we are crowning you the champion.
Don't tell them what it is. Just let them sit with it.
Dang it.
Just kidding. It's avocado.
Yeah, it's an avocado.
That makes no sense at all.
You know what?
Yes,
Actually,
it does. It looks like an alligator skin.
It does.
You know, honestly, I thought avocado when Osmond was saying it makes sense.
I've never heard alligator.
You know
bear,
why? Because the distinguishing characteristic of an alligator is not its skin; it's its teeth. That's why I was confused.
Why do they have alligator skin bags instead of alligator teeth bags?
Let's make it stop.
Thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa.
That was a non-gendered person, Ken, and you just gave it a gender.
I tried this one chili and it set my mouth on fire, and I had to drink a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
All right, leave this guy alone with his poor, constipated poops. We're going to come back and talk about politics. That's what really matters here.
Which, again, we're not.
Yeah, you always play that when we're not coming back into politics.
Yep.
I know.
But I love
weird.
listening to the Tombstone intro.
It is.
Pretty good intro.
Tombstone delivers us gold.
Little do the listeners know
if we had to.
that the Mountain Dew part of that is also Tombstone.
Oh.
That was just recorded at a barbecue at his house.
No more barbecues for you.
You know,
No
guys,
lies detected.
so I think I want to build a fire pit. And
No. I want to build a snowman.
I want to build a fire pit so that I can roast hunks of meat over it. Like put a rotisserie over it. I think it'd be really good. Anyways, that was random.
I love how we're making Frozen jokes and ignoring Mathis's.
Okay, have you guys ever
rotisserie
seen
idea.
Frozen?
It's
I've
kinda
never
cold,
seen Frozen.
yeah.
Unfortunately,
I've seen
yes.
I've seen it. It's not
because-
terrible to watch once. I wouldn't want to watch it over and over and over
I
again
have
like
to
a lot of
say-
people
I have
are
to
this week.
say,
The snowman reminds me of Ozzy.
I think thank you.
You're not wrong about that.
I like Frozen
We're gonna
2
start-
better than
we're
Frozen.
gonna rename you to Olaf.
it's funny.
In my personal opinion.
It's funny because I was having the
And
discussion.
I've seen both multiple times.
One of my buddies got mad at another buddy because I guess their
You
wives
just described this
Yeah,
show.
I know.
Are you talking about us again?
Their wives were talking, and one guy was mad at the other guy because the other guy likes Frozen, and was mad because his wife now is railing on him that because Scott likes Frozen, that he should like Frozen as well.
I'm lost.
You shouldn't be lost. How,
Aaron, this is not a forum for you to share your.
No.
Aaron,
Oswald's
when
face
did this
describes my
become a
feeling
forum
right
for you
now.
to share your Facebook gossip on?
It's not
on the show?
Facebook gossip. It's not Facebook
Susie's
gossip.
husband Tom told Scott that he likes Frozen, and Scott doesn't. So they're mad at each other.
Oh, good grief. I just want to do a shout out to Scott and Reese for listening to the show.
It's not that this happened; it's that you're trying to describe it to us. That's what's funny.
I was trying to protect the names of the innocent.
Things that you think are interesting.
I was.
Scott and
You're the one that
Reese,
dropped the name.
thank you for being 2 of our 12 listeners. We're sorry that Mathis thought your weird personal squabbles were
Anyways,
show
it was
fodder.
humorous. It was humorous. It was a humorous exchange.
It's not a bad little movie. It's basically designed for little girls.
My question question stemmed from: is it legit?
Definitely.
Should I actually watch it? I mean, it's on Disney Plus, so
Just watch it.
Disney
Tell us
movie.
what you think. Why are you asking
Yeah.
us? You're a grown man.
Seriously,
Go watch the
ask
movie.
your-
Turn it on for your kids
Listen.
and have a song stuck in your head
Go
for a
ask-
decade.
Actually, no. Don't let your kids watch it because they're going to want to watch it again.
Go ask Scott's wife what her opinion is about you watching it.
Ask Scott's wife.
or Reese's wife or whoever. I still don't know the actual.
if you're listening and not having your eyes glazed over, Jeff,
It's really hard not to.
your face is glazed over.
You cannot give an inch, man.
No, I know.
We'll take it to
I know.
a
No,
mile.
and look, I have no issue with that. I love it. I absolutely love it. There's a reason
He
I keep
loves
coming
that.
back.
He doesn't love our deeper conversations, but
No.
I do sometimes.
Yep.
Gentlemen, we have to get to this. Is it a review? Anyway, it's an article on Screen Rant by Colin McCormick, and he says
this is a decent amount of movies, right?
He says there's 10 movies that you need to watch if you love Saving Private Ryan,
and there's literally no time like the present.
So do you guys? I can't say obviously. Do you guys like Saving Private Ryan?
Yes. I haven't seen it in a few years. I remember it. It was really good though.
Okay.
That I have a story about that. That's not actually that exciting. But
bring a tear to a glass.
The story.
The first time I saw Saving Private Ryan, I think I was like
Scott's wife involved in this story.
She didn't like this movie.
Oh man. Anyway, the first time I saw Saving Private Ryan, my grandparents had come down and they had a motorhome. And my grandfather, who
this is turning into a me story,
was a vet. We watched the movie, and I was like, I think 14 years old or something, and that was the first like absolutely maybe gory and realistic war movie that I had ever seen. Because my father was big into war movies, but it was all the old, Bridge Too Far,
which is a great movie.
Yeah, which some of these are on this list actually.
Right. So stuff like that, and so I remember after that, my stomach was just turned inside out, and I distinctly remember that feeling, and it was just like, oh wow, this is horrible.
Yeah,
but it was really good. But it's been years since I've actually seen it though.
So you mentioned that your grandfather was a veteran and was there. I was wondering if that was going to play in. Did he provide his?
I don't know that he was there. I have to look at the history of
No. I mean, there when you watch the movie.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what his take on the movie was.
He didn't really provide a lot. We kind of just watched it. I mean, my dad was there, and then I was there, and we watched it inside of their motorhome. So it was kind of cool.
I just remember having to wait until we got the VCR that would auto edit out the swear words. My parents, I was so obsessed with studying World War II that they didn't really care about the violence at that point when I was at that age. I mean, obviously in a historical setting as much as the language. Little did they know I would become friends with Tombstone, and no filter ever would save me. But
you need better friends, clearly.
Yes.
Contrary to popular belief, we do filter the show.
So it's interesting. I remember my grandfather talking about going to see Saving Private Ryan in the theater. When did it come out? Was it 2000, 1999?
2000 something? I don't know.
I remember him talking about going to see it, and he was not a World War II veteran. He was 98. My grandfather was in the army, and he was in West Germany during the Korean War, so he wasn't a combat veteran, but he would have known, he probably would have known many, many, many combat veterans, and he said it was too realistic.
I've heard that a lot of times, that it was very realistic.
Yeah.
And I know, I can't remember exactly what the language used, but apparently a lot of the World War II veterans that actually sat through it found it deeply disturbing.
So I was friends with a guy who was a meat cutter at Richmond Corner Market. His name was Pat. I don't even remember his last name. But
you told us about Pat. Yeah, I don't know if you told about on the show.
He was a grizzly old dude real short dude. So he went over. He was over in he went to basic training, got assigned to an armored division, and he became a tank commander.
Ooh.
And so on D-Day, he was sitting there waiting for the beaches to be cleared and was sent over, boated over, I guess, the day after.
Mm-hmm.
When the tanks finally got to make landfall.
Right.
And his comment on the movie was it was incredibly accurate. And it depicted it like the scene on the beach was exactly what you would have expected. The aftermath of that movie.
Yeah.
Just hearing him talk about that, I got more chills listening to him talk about it than I did watching the movie.
Well, obviously, because you're talking to somebody that saw it.
But it was incredibly moving, and I don't want to go too much into my relationship with him. He was an amazing guy. just amazing stories. He was just a cool guy to hang out with, but it was a totally different generation. Like his take on it all was so different than I have. Like it was just different. It was yeah. I don't even know how to describe it, guys. Like they went through a lot and they dealt with it, and I don't know how. Like it just, yeah. I'm really at a loss for words on it.
Strong community, strong family, strong moral principles.
Maybe
to some extent.
I've also read, so in that vein, I remember watching an interview with a guy who was a veteran of Operation Gothic Serpent, which most people know as the Black Hawk Down incident. And he said the movie was, if the movie wasn't spot on, it was close enough that in his memories, he was sometimes confused what was in the movie and what he had actually experienced.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think that's less of a presentation of fact thing and more of an emotional thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. In other words, a lot of the exact fact, because I've read some of the books by the guys that were there. I've read Michael Durant's book. I've read some of the guys' books.
Yeah.
And obviously some of the characters are amalgamations of several people that were there. They're not all real characters that haven't.
Right.
So I think what you're saying, Tombstone, is the movie got it so close. If it's not so close in fact that this trooper named this, did this act, but the entire emotional and combat feel that was put into the movie was so accurate.
Yeah.
That each little individual fact may not be accurate, but the overall portrayal was good.
Let me read through the list here, because some of these I actually haven't seen, and I clearly need to rectify that. So at the top, number 10. So this is the 10 movies
to remind the listeners
to watch if you love Saving Private Ryan. So number 10 is the bottom of the list. To start at the bottom, which works, is War Horse, which I haven't actually seen.
I haven't seen that one.
It was actually pretty good.
It's a World War I movie about a cavalry. Yeah, it's about a cavalry unit in World War I. It's supposed to be pretty good.
Right. It's about, from my understanding, don't take me for this literally because I don't remember exactly what it was. I watched it a couple years ago, but this kid basically gets dragged into World War I, and then he gets into this relationship with this horse, and the horse is the thing that helps keep him sane. Almost,
I think
during the terrors of the war and stuff like that.
And according to the synopsis here, like he owned a horse that was sold or given to the military to support it, and then he ended up in the military. That's right.
Yes. Yes. They came and grabbed the horse because they needed horses for the war, and he was young, and then he went into the war, and then they got back together at some point for somehow. So it was a very good story, though.
So number 9 is Fury, which Fury gets a lot of hate, which I don't think it really deserves. I think it's a great movie.
Why does it get hate? I thought it was a good movie.
I'm not sure. I guess some people have complained about the tactics shown because the tactics weren't that great. Or they weren't completely accurate. Here's my opinion on that. If you're going to go to the trouble to resurrect 3 or 4 Sherman tanks, put them in a field in Britain and film them doing maneuvers, you can take a couple liberties with those maneuvers. My opinion.
Yes.
Well, and because I think the overall storyline of Fury was not a super, like you said, it might not be
not
believable.
Super historical.
It's not super historical, not believable, but I appreciated a World War II tank. I like when new movies focused on different aspects of World War II come out because I'm such a World War II buff. So Saving Private Ryan was very much the ground war, Band of Brothers, which is also supposedly very historically accurate, was based on the paratroopers. Fury's on the tanks. Unfortunately, you had, for a while, Pearl Harbor was about the best you got for aviation. Midway has corrected a lot of that. Because unfortunately, Red Tails was kind of a flop. I really was excited when I saw that was going to come out.
Just wait till the second Top Gun comes out. You think Midway was good.
So Midway did help rectify some of that, although there's differing opinions on the show as to how good Midway was.
In other words, Aaron doesn't like it.
I haven't seen it yet, but I heard the CGI was crap.
But Fury was a good movie, and a surprisingly decent performance by Shia.
Midway was an emotionally accurate movie.
I'm surprised Midway's not on this list.
The CG is over the top, but if you were in a Dauntless getting shot at by the Japanese, you would probably think that was over the top too.
Yeah, I hear you.
True, very true.
Fury was good.
Number 8 on the list.
We were soldiers.
This is by far my favorite.
Excellent.
Okay, I haven't actually seen it.
No.
What?
Tombstone.
Yeah.
Like, you're
I don't
sick
have an
right
excuse.
now.
I just haven't seen it.
You need to go
must
buy
watch
it now. Like,
I'm
this
pretty
is
sure
a
it's on
buy
Netflix.
movie. If it's on Netflix, you have to watch it.
The problem is my wife is not going to want to watch it with me.
No, absolutely not.
Find a way to watch it.
It's a rough movie, man.
Tombstone, you got to watch it.
Yeah.
All right,
This
I'll
is
watch
one
it.
of those.
It's a good movie.
It's one of those realities of war kind of shows both sides kind of thing.
It is
I'll
the
watch it
best.
this week.
It is the
It was
best.
good.
Yeah, it's the best. It's my absolutely.
All right, let's keep moving.
It's terrifying. It's
Number
good.
7 is A Bridge Too Far, which is
Bridge Too
excellent.
Movie,
excellent
yes.
movie. A little
Yes.
weird, a
Question.
little slow, but it's a good movie.
It's because it's an older movie. How many of you would like to see it remade?
No.
I would like to see what modern movie graphics could do with it. It's a classic. It's a classic, but some of those old movies have that weird, like, disjointed, slow feel that they don't do a good job in tying the plot all together.
Yeah.
And so I would like to see it remade in the modern format.
Kind of got that hard. It's a long.
But can we keep the same cast?
No.
No, because
I mean, they did bring back what's his name for Grand Moff Tarkin. So.
I mean, even if
There you
what's his
go.
face, Michael, even if Michael Caine could be like a general
Michael
or something.
Caine, Gene Hackman.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That was
All right,
Anthony
let's
Hopkins.
keep going. Number 6, we've already talked about
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah,
Black Hawk Down, also
pretty
excellent.
Good. Pretty good.
Number 5 is Schindler's List, which I also haven't seen.
I've seen parts of it.
I have
I
not
haven't
seen
seen all of
Schindler's
it, no.
List. No,
I feel like Schindler's List is going to make me hate life, and I don't want that experience.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Number 4 is Letter from Iwo Jima, which I also haven't seen.
Wait,
Clearly, I'm falling down the job here.
I
What?
haven't seen that either.
I haven't
This-
seen that either.
This is so it was a companion film with Flags of Our Fathers, which is from the American perspective,
I
right?
don't know that I saw that one either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but the Letters from Iwo Jima, it is all done in Japanese. It's all subtitles.
Oh.
Right.
And it's kind of chronicalizing the letters this one soldier was sending back to his wife or fiance or
it's a
something.
Clint Eastwood.
It's a Clint Eastwood.
movie.
It's
Both of them are Clint Eastwood, and I think, if I remember correctly, he does the music in both of them, which is very interesting.
Okay. Number 3
Dunkirk.
is Dunkirk,
Never
which
seen it.
I saw 3 times in the theater.
Slow.
Totally worth it.
Dunkirk.
He hasn't
good, but
seen
Yeah.
he hasn't seen the We Were Soldiers, but he's seen Dunkirk 3 times.
If
That is
I had
weird. That
been
is
able to
weird.
go to the
Dunkirk
theater
was
in
good.
2002 when it came out, I probably would have seen it in the theater 3 times as well.
Dunkirk was excellent. It was slow, but man, did it keep you captivated. Like I watched this. I did not.
I thought
see this
it was
in
a great
theaters.
movie.
I did not see this in
It is-
theaters. I watched it in my house, which we have a decent stereo system, and the whole time I was standing the entire time pacing
It is
around.
100%
It was-
Nolan.
Super unnerving. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
It took a while to figure out the flashback timing, like
Yeah, that was a bit
and
confusing,
realizing everything that was going on and when it had occurred.
And so then
All right.
number 2, we have The Thin Red Line. I haven't seen this one.
Have not.
I
seen
haven't
this
either.
I know
I've
this
seen
one
it
only
pop
by
up on
reputation.
Amazon.
This one I was completely off my radar.
I've seen it pop up on Amazon or Netflix, and I've kind of got it on like a to watch list, but I haven't watched it yet.
So number 1 on this list is 1917, which came out
haven't
in
seen it yet. I wanna see it.
2019. I think I'm going to end up seeing it this weekend. I'm not sure exactly the timing.
It's really good.
Just
It's
come
good.
out on digital and stuff.
For me, it doesn't arise to the level of Saving Private Ryan, and maybe I'm going to get.
It's
hammered
not.
for that.
I don't think it's as good as Saving. I shouldn't say it's not as good. It's not quite as heavy as Saving Private Ryan. It did make me cry twice the second time I watched it. So
It is not,
and
it's not for those of you looking for a war movie. It is not combat focused. It is more of a. Now this is going to downplay it too much. Two buddies adventure movie, like it's focused on the mission of 2 individual soldiers, and it's much more about their individual quest versus any actual combat in World War One.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for one that's focused on the broader World War One combat, that's not there.
Right. But that was
and unlike Saving Private Ryan, which ties the specific mission of the unit into the broader combat, it doesn't really do that. It does it a little bit, but it was very powerful. I watched it in theaters. I thought it was good.
Notable movies that didn't make this list, I'm a little bit surprised, like Tropic Thunder.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm trying to think of some movies that I thought should have made this list, though.
I would have expected. Right, I just lost where to go.
So my two favorite war movies are
Midway.
Guns of Navarone. Guns of Navarone.
Speaking of Alistair McLean.
Yeah, great movie, and Kelly's Heroes.
Kelly's Heroes.
What about The Great Escape?
Great Escape.
Where Eagles Dare. Have you watched Where Eagles Dare?
I haven't seen Where Eagles Dare, actually.
Oh, that's a McLean as well, and it's a Clint Eastwood in it, and it's very.
Oh, that's right.
I'll watch it.
The book is 10 million times better, so if you can just read the McLean books, they're amazing. But
interesting. I don't know. I can't think of any others. I'm blank.
I gotta call it, guys.
Tombstone has to leave us, so he's saying we have to go bye.
Have we used our allocated time?
We have.
So watch those 10 movies and let us know what you think of them.
That's right. www.thefrontporchshow.com. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, anywhere where you like to find your online content. We are there. We are ready. There's over 100 episodes for you to listen to. Check us out. We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.